In a land where the sun painted the skies in burning gold and the wind whispered the songs of ancestors through the tall grass, there lived a poor girl named Naya, a humble soul from the forgotten village of Moyo. Her people lived by the river that glowed like liquid bronze beneath the setting sun. Their huts were made of clay, their clothes were simple, and their smiles were the only riches they carried. Naya's father was a fisherman who vanished into the river one night, swallowed by the dark waters when his canoe overturned during a storm. Her mother, old and frail, worked with trembling hands weaving baskets to trade for millet and salt. Naya, though born into poverty, carried a heart richer than gold, for she believed kindness was the only true treasure a person could own. One season, the land of Mbale fell into great drought. The crops turned to ash beneath the blazing sun, the river dried to a trickle, and the animals fled into the distant forests. Hunger hung over the village like a ghost. People cried to the heavens, to the ancestors, to the gods of rain, but the skies stayed silent. Naya wandered the dry fields daily, her bare feet pressing against the cracked earth as she searched for herbs, roots, anything that could keep her mother alive. She prayed to the spirits of the river that had taken her father, asking for mercy. Yet, day by day, hope slipped from her hands like sand. One morning, as she carried her empty basket, she saw dust rising in the distance, a royal procession. The king of Bakora, known for his greed and glittering palaces, was traveling through her region to collect taxes even though his people starved. His golden chariot, pulled by white horses, shone brighter than the sun itself. Soldiers marched before him, carrying spears and shields polished like mirrors. When he reached the center of the dry marketplace, his servants shouted for everyone to kneel. The villagers gathered in silence, their eyes lowered in fear. The king stepped down from his chariot, his robes heavy with jewels, his crown thick with gold. His eyes swept over the crowd like a vulture searching for weakness. He raised his hand and announced, "Who among you will come with me to the palace and serve me faithfully? I will give gold to any soul brave enough to leave this misery behind." The people murmured, but none moved. They had seen what happened to those who went to the palace, some never returned. Some came back silent, their eyes empty, their souls heavy with secrets they would not tell. But Naya, young and desperate to save her mother, stepped forward. The crowd gasped. She bowed her head, her heart pounding like a drum. The king's eyes gleamed with amusement. "You," he said with a smirk. "A barefoot girl with dust in her hair dares to stand before me?" "Yes, my king," she whispered, her voice trembling yet strong. "I will go with you if it means I can feed my mother." The king laughed, his voice echoing across the marketplace. "Then come, girl. I shall reward you. For your courage, I will give you gold enough to buy the river itself." His servants brought out a small chest filled with coins that glimmered like fire under the sun. The villagers stared in awe, it was more wealth than anyone had seen in generations. But Naya did not move. She did not touch the gold. Instead, she lifted her head slowly and said words that froze every soul in that market. "My king," she said softly, "I do not want your gold." A murmur swept through the crowd like wind through dry leaves. The king's smile faded. "You do not want my gold," he repeated, disbelief twisting into anger. "What else could a poor girl like you want?" Naya's eyes, though tired, burned with something pure. "I want rain for my people," she said. "I want the earth to live again, for the children not to die with empty stomachs. Keep your gold, my king. It will not grow food. It will not bring water. I ask only that you bring back the rain." The king was silent. No one had ever refused his gift before. He turned to his men and scoffed, "Foolish girl. Do you think I control the heavens?" But Naya stood firm. "A true king," she said quietly, "is not one who commands soldiers or collects gold. A true king listens to the cries of his people. If you cannot make the rain fall, then find those who can, the priests, the elders, the spirits. Let them help us before it is too late." The king was struck by her words, but pride would not let him show it. He waved her away and rode off in anger, leaving the gold behind. Naya went home empty-handed, but her mother looked at her with pride and said, "Child, you spoke truth to power. That is worth more than all the gold in the world." Days passed, and the drought grew worse. People began to leave the village in search of greener lands. The king, far away in his marble palace, could not sleep. Her words echoed in his mind. He dreamed of cracked earth, dying children, and the river of Mbale whispering her name. Finally, in desperation, he summoned his council of priests and asked, "How do we bring back the rain?" The oldest priest, blind and bent with age, spoke slowly, "The gods have turned away because of your greed. You take but do not give. You hoard gold while your people starve. The heavens demand a sacrifice, not of gold or animals, but of humility. Only a heart that gives without expecting can call the rain." The king, shaken, remembered Naya, the girl who asked for nothing for herself. He rode back to Mbale with his guards and found her tending to her sick mother beside their crumbling hut. He dismounted, removing his golden crown, and bowed before her, an act that left the villagers speechless. "Girl," he said, his voice softer than the first drop of rain, "you were right. I cannot buy what the heavens give freely. Tell me what I must do." Naya looked at him, her face streaked with dust and tears. "If you wish to bring back the rain, my king, you must give to the people what you took from them, their faith in you." She led him to the dry riverbed and told him to plant the first seed with his own hands, to feed the hungry with his own food, and to pray with the villagers, not above them but among them. The king, moved by shame and newfound wisdom, did as she said. For the first time in his reign, he worked beside his people. He gave away his treasures, his food, his comfort. As he planted the seed, dark clouds began to gather over the horizon. Thunder rumbled like the drums of ancestors. A single drop of rain fell on Naya's cheek, then another, until the skies burst open. The people screamed with joy and danced in the mud, their tears mixing with the rain. The river came alive again, the crops rose green, and life returned to Mbale. The king turned to Naya, his crown soaked and forgotten, and said, "You have taught me more than any priest or scholar. You asked for no gold, yet you have given me everything, wisdom, peace, and the love of my people." He offered her anything she wished, land, jewels, a title, but she only smiled. "My king," she said, "I already have what I asked for, my people live again." Years later, when the king grew old and the land flourished, he built a shrine by the river in Naya's honor, carved with the words, "She refused gold and asked for rain." It became a place where travelers stopped to pray for humility, for wisdom, and for courage to speak truth to power. Mothers told their daughters the story of Naya, the poor girl who refused gold, the girl who taught a king that no wealth shines brighter than a pure heart. And when the rains fell each year, the people of Mbale would whisper her name to the wind, thanking the spirits for the girl who saved them all. The legend lived on for generations, a reminder that sometimes the poorest among us carry the richest souls, and that a single act of selfless courage can change the fate of a kingdom forever.